Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast. It's November 19th. And we're up to episode 223. I'm Gavin Pickens, Senior Developer Auto Solutions, and I've got Eric Peterson joining me today.
Hey, howdy, hey.
How's it going? Can you believe Thanksgiving's just coming up so fast?
Yeah, it's kind of weird that we're at the end of the year already. I don't know, but time marches on.
Yep, sure does. It flies by pretty quick. A lot of stuff coming up after the new year. A few deadlines and some more information coming before the end of the year, though. But first, let's just get in and thank our sponsor, Auto Solutions. So, for those of you who don't know, Autos makes Gold Box, Command Box, Forge Box, Test Box, lots of other cool boxes out there, including Box Slang. And so each episode we say thanks to them, and there's a few ways you guys can say thanks. And Eric will run you through some of those.
Absolutely. The one I really want you to do is to come to Into the Box 2025 this next May in Washington, D.C. Tickets are available now. We just closed our call for speakers, so we'll be going through that. That means the blind tickets will soon not be available. So right now, you can get 50% off your ticket by committing to come before seeing the speaker list. As soon as that speaker list is published, that price is going to go up. So the dates again are April 30th through May 2nd in Washington, D.C.
Yep, we'll tell you a little bit
Additionally,
more at in the conference section. But yeah, it's a great conference. We always have a lot of fun there, and yeah, we would love to see some new faces and some of our old face friends as well.
that's right. You can help out by liking and subscribing on YouTube, starring our repos on GitHub, subscribing to this podcast in your podcast app of choice, signing up for one of our accounts on CFcasts, buying some awesome stuff from our Box Life store or one of our books, like 102 Cold Box Quick Tips and Tricks, or learn Cold Fusion in 100+ minutes.
Yep, lots of cool ways, and of course, we always appreciate all your pull requests, your issues, and everything else in our repos. Everything helps, and so we thank everybody for all they do. Another way we can you can help us is actually as a Patreon. So Auto Solutions does have its own Patreon account. So if you go to patreon.com/autosolutions, you can see some of our cool packages we have there. And we have packages starting from, I think, just $10 a month, some low price ones, through to some higher ones with lots of cool perks. At the end of the show, we'll run through some of our top patrons because we've got too many to list them all, which is a great problem to have. We have 59 patrons right now. But we'll also tell you about some of the perks for some of the packages at the end of the show as well. And so Eric sometimes likes to come up with cool names for our Patreons. Have you got one today? Or am I putting you on the spot?
You are jolly. Our jolly Patreons.
Ah, okay. Jolly. Next one, we'll let you also do thankful or something for Thanksgiving. Yeah, we'll have to figure out something. But thank you to all of our jolly Patreon supporters. Okay, so let's get into new releases and updates. And we got a big one here. Command Box 6.1 was released, and that's been cooking for a while there, right?
That has been. I've been running the release candidate for that for a long time.
Yep.
So, I mean, one big one is you can now run Boxling straight from Command Box 6.1 without needing to install the Command Box Boxlane module.
Very cool.
So that was always our goal, but we wanted to get Boxling out there, and 6.1 wasn't ready yet. So now you can do that. Also, I think my favorite one that I haven't really got to dive in as much as I'd like to is the new WebSocket server in Boxling.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Boxling, in Command Box.
Yeah, that's right. So in 6.1, that's released. The WebSocket server runs in CFML and Boxlang, so you can use it from both, which is really cool. And We did share in a couple weeks back link to the ForgeBox module for it, and there's also some links to Brad's GitHub repo where he has some examples. And on CFcast, there's even a video there to go check out as well if you want. So lots of cool ways to see the WebSockets server, and I think Giancarlo might be doing some WebSockets console stuff into the box. Just another reason to go sign up for that.
Yes.
If not,
You
maybe a
know,
few other people, because yeah, WebSockets are pretty dang cool and they're even easier now.
ever since I first saw Giancarlo do a presentation on that, I think it was at the CF Summit, I've wanted to use it, but I've never worked on the project with an Adobe Cold Fusion server, and so I'm so excited that now we have that ability with whatever language you're running via command box.
Yeah, that's super cool. And there's some other work done as well, some new features to be able to deploy Lucy, Lex, or LCO files, and basically making sure if an entry has a hash that we validate it, and some other improvements around that, and some sorting. There's obviously some major tasks there. Updated the JRE to 11.023. Lucy been updated to 5469, and then Undertow was 22.33.final. So a few pretty big changes there, and that's why Brad takes a little bit more time when he's updating major underlying libraries just to make sure everything works good. And he did squish a few bugs too, so 9 bugs there. So we'll share the blog post in the chat for those in there, and obviously in the show notes too. But pretty cool to see that finally released. So lots of fun stuff coming there.
Our beta train keeps chugging along for Boxlang. We're on beta 22. Of course, we've had a beta every week, so if you've missed some, you can check out all of the release notes on boxlang.ortusbooks.com.
Yeah, we finally
Just
missed a week though. There was a slight miscommunication in the team. So Luis was
no,
moving and John didn't realize, and so yeah, we missed 1 week. So it's kind of crazy. Out of all these weeks since June, I think we've missed 1 week of beta releases. So beta 22 is like 2 weeks worth of goodness. So just for those that are looking for it, because I was looking at wait, did we miss one? Did I miss one? But yeah, so it happens. But yeah, sorry.
But yeah, it's no worries. I mean, there's a lot to go dive into there. Of course, lots of bug fixes and improvements. I think one of my favorites is we have multiple statements inside queries now. So, throw that semicolon in and do multiple statements there. So everything's marching along because we're looking to release by the end of the year, right? 1.0 before the end of the year
Yep,
is
that's
the
the
goal.
plan. Yep, to get that release candidate out at least. So we're getting
So
close, that's for sure. So a lot of cool
yeah,
things, and again, we're working hard on all of our libraries and our site. So if we can get all the Odyssey stuff up and running, that's gonna be pushing most of the boundaries that most people are pushing. And we have other customers running this in production already with Boxline, which is crazy. And other people are, every week we release a beta, they're updating their staging QA servers to run it just to make sure, and they're reporting back anything they find too. So thanks to the community for helping, keep us moving there and keep us up to date on everything that could go wrong, so we could get those bugs fixed and make those improvements. So that's
absolutely. We have quite a lot of code as Ortus, making frameworks, making things like that, but having the community help out with all the code that's out there that they're running, like it really helps us to find some of these edge cases that we haven't encountered and make sure they work right.
yeah, it's good to see the excitement. They're all just aching to try to get some more stuff out, and they're really excited about what Boxline can do and the performance. And so yeah, it's good to see. Obviously it's a big deal for us as a company to sort of start our own language, and we thought it would be helpful for our customers and the community, and it's great to see that they're accepting that and continuing to support it. So yeah, we're working hard towards that. I can't wait to get the RC out. So okay, next up we have some, oops, I pushed the wrong button. I did. Some webinars, meetups, and workshops. And so we have a couple coming up here. It looks like tomorrow, the 20th of November, SAC Interactive Tech Meetup, which is run by Nolan Irk and his group. They're doing one, Boost Your Confidence and Silence the Inner Critic, Overcome Imposter Syndrome, Phenomenon, sorry. So that's going to be 6 o'clock Pacific time. So if you guys go to meetup.com, SAC Interactive has that listing there. and I believe you can get on Zoom. And if you do jump in and sign up for that, even if you can't make it, they'll have the link available after. And then we have another one from the online Cold Fusion meetup, right?
That's right. November 21st. So in 2 days at 12 p.m. Eastern, this is Cold Fusion Horizons Unveiling 2025. This is going to be with Sharvi, the current Cold Fusion product manager. So if you missed some of the announcements or want to dive in more about what's coming out in Cold Fusion 2025, this is a great way to do that.
Yep. And those of you that weren't at CF Summit, this will all be pretty new to you, so definitely recommend checking that out. We tried to give you a pretty good recap a couple weeks back, but I think that'll be a good session to dive into more of what's going on and what's coming, because it is imminent, as they say. So lots of good stuff there. CFCast, just for
Yeah.
those who missed it, as I mentioned, we have the socket box video up there on CFCast. So we released that. Brad went over some really cool examples and the links there to get to his GitHub repo as well. For those of you that are subscribers but didn't purchase ITB tickets or the video package, good news is that you should be getting all the ITB boxes basically unveiled coming very soon. So we basically have an exclusive window, and we're about that 6-month exclusive window. So you should get a happy Thanksgiving and a good Christmas, because you'll be able to see all the ITB videos as well. So if you're a paid subscriber or you get that as one of your perks, those videos will be coming very soon. So I'll check with marketing to see when that date is exactly. But keep an eye out over Thanksgiving, because I think it's going to be dropping here pretty soon. So that way you guys will have tons of new content there. If you're not a paid subscriber, it's worth giving it a shot. It's a pretty affordable package, and you get lots of great content in addition to all the free content we provide there, obviously. But yeah, so cfcast.com. And I know you guys are working on tons of cool stuff too, right, Eric, behind the scenes?
That's right.
So we'll leave that at that. But yeah, more coming for CFCast in the future.
Well, we got some neat conferences coming up. The next one that we can see is CF Summit India 2024. This is on December 7th in two different cities, Bengaluru and I think it's Noida.
That's what I would say.
Apologies for the pronunciation. This is a free conference, and we'll drop the link in that you can register. So if you are in that area, and drop on by and join this awesome free event put on by Adobe.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be lots of fun. They've been dropping some names on Facebook and some other places. So I see Kai Koenig is actually listed as a speaker. So I'm not sure if he's doing remote or not, but yeah, it's got some pretty good names. So different set of speakers possibly from CF Summit. So some good content. So, and again, free, you can't beat that. And I know that when Luis attended a couple years back, he said it was a great experience. So if you guys are in the area, definitely go check that out. As we mentioned, Into the Box 2025, we have 1-day workshop and 2-day conference. So if you're doing the workshop, that starts April 30th. Otherwise, the conference is May 1st and 2nd, and that's going to be in Washington, D.C. again. So we really enjoyed the new venue we had this year. So we're going to be back at the same venue. So we're looking forward to that. And I know there's some ideas. We've apparently hooked up some cool additions to Happy Box to make it even better. So I'm not sure if Eric even knows this. I'll have to tell him later. But there's some plans in the works to liven up our Happy Box even more, which is pretty hard to beat when you got a mariachi band and everything else. But yeah, you'll have to stay tuned for when we announce that. But as Eric mentioned, there's blind tickets, 50% off right now. That's you can save $250 for just the conference, which is a pretty good deal. And yeah, the call for speakers is closed. We're working on all the sessions, so we should be meeting here, and hopefully our goal is before the end of the year for sure. But I think even early December, we want to try and get that list out, so that way people can get their budgets in and get everything to their bosses before the end of the year, so we can get those tickets wrapped up and get as many people as possible to DC. So, do you know what you're speaking on yet, Eric? Have you got any ideas? Or
Oh, I have ideas, but I don't know. Nothing's been exactly accepted yet. So
yeah,
just lots of ideas, and kind of I like to fit in also where uh see what the community's wanting to talk about and kind of work around that too. So
Yeah, I always struggle to figure out what I should talk about. And everyone's like, you can talk about all sorts. I'm like, yeah, but what should I talk about? So if you got any ideas, if you're in chat, let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll add that to the list. We can see what everybody else votes for.
I think selfishly I wanted to talk about something with Socketbox so I can build stuff with it.
Yep.
So
Well,
but we'll see. But I think we have some good community options on that. So I probably won't. I'll probably talk about something else.
well, if you can tie it into something else you're doing, then it's a good
Yeah.
combo, and you get both. So, you know, I'm not sure if you could tie it into Playwright or something else that you built or something new that you built lately too. So that's always a good option. I like that too, because then you sort of get the best of both worlds. Because it's not like you're going to teach someone how to use something completely in one of these sessions. It's just to give you ideas, inspiration, and basically give you enough to know, do I want to go down this route more and learn more and go play with it? And so, sometimes tying those two together, but oh, I didn't think about that. Or oh, that's something new. Maybe I could do this. And so, um, yeah. Now, so David just said, Eric, a good idea would be the differences between Quick and CBRM. So some people, the Hibernate versus Quick, his follow up is and why Quick rocks. Yeah, yep. I definitely like Quick for sure. There's
Yeah.
some
Well,
big differences.
maybe it's time to resurrect the build a blog in 45 minutes talk for quick. So
Oh, on top of Boxlang, maybe even.
yeah.
Yeah, that might be fun. Cool, cool.
All right. So again, that's April 30th through May 2nd, Into the Box 2025.
Yep. You can find out more on intothebox.org, and you can find tickets and everything there. Okay, next up we have CF Camp, so May 22nd and 23rd, and it's going to be at the Thomas Hotel, and still in the Munich airport, but slightly different venue. And cfcamp.org has more information, and I think they just announced they have the call for speakers open. I was going to see, where is the
I
link?
I didn't see it on their website, so maybe Kai posted it on social media somewhere.
I think he did in the Box Team channel, actually.
Mm.
I remember seeing something there. Yes, it is. So I will post the link right now, and I'll add it to our list here as well. Yep, so using papercall.io again, which is a cool little way to submit. So I will put that in the chat. There we go. So go check that out and submit your call for your sessions there. Now they do some blind stuff there as well, as far as they actually look at the content without the speakers to try and pick, so that way they're not just picking all the big names, which is a cool way to get new speakers out as well. So they do a great job, and it's a great conference. So
Oh, and I love that they have new language and server features in Adobe Cold Fusion, Boxlang, and Lucy. Makes me happy.
yeah, very cool. Yeah, they're it's good that they're a very open conference, and they're accepting of lots of different stuff, a lot of JavaScript stuff there too. They really do have a conference for the developer, so it's a great conference. And if you can't find a conference out of our list, because of course we could go into much more detail, if you go to comps.tech, there's a cool little site. You can submit your own conferences there, and they break it down by category, language, in person or not, and they have a lot of cool conferences there, and there might be something closer than you think that you might want to go check out. So comps.tech, it's a good way to do that. Okay, so next up we have some blogs, videos, and or blogs posts. Wait, blogs, posts, and videos of the week.
Yeah,
Tweets.
'cause it
Yeah.
used to be tweets, but tweets don't exist, and
Oh,
there's there's many other platforms that people are using now, whether that's Mastodon or Threads or Blue Sky. So they're all posts. It's all boring.
yeah. Well, I gotta
So
go figure out how to get all that content in there. So I try to
yeah,
follow the content, but I can't be on 50 channels all at once. So yeah,
I know. It used to be I that is my biggest regret about Twitter going the way it did is it used to be a pretty good place to catch all the tech kind of circles, and now I don't know where to go. I have a few over on Mastodon, but it's not what it was on Twitter, and
Yeah, and
So
actually, I've heard that this week especially that it's blowing up even more. I think it's post-election stuff. I don't know. I try not to get into the politics and drama stuff, but I've heard that it's blowing up in the bad way. So I think
well,
people
and
leaving.
let's see, Blue Sky got a lot of influx, I think, because of the fight, right? The Jake Paul Mike Tyson
Oh,
fight they sponsored or something. So, anyways, everyone's everywhere. You should let us know, comment on the video or send us an email about where you are so we can follow your news. So we'll try to do it. We're figuring out this new world of lots of social media sites.
yeah, and see, the old days too, it used to be where everyone had blogs and they just use those sites to link back to it. But now, I don't know if you noticed or not, but if you're on Facebook and I think even LinkedIn, if you post a link in your or like in your post, they don't activate the links anymore. So they're actually trying to keep you from leaving to go elsewhere. So before you would
Mm,
write something and you'd go somewhere in one of those sites to link back to it. But most of those sites are starting to lock that down. I tried that with Facebook today, trying to get one of the posts, and I had to copy it and then paste it into my browser because Facebook doesn't want you to leave their site. So they're just not making the links active. And
oh
so
man.
a few other
All right.
things. So
So
anyway, sorry about that
actually,
detour.
everybody just send us your RSS feed to your blog. We'll throw it in an aggregator somewhere. We're going to go back to 2005. It's all good.
Yeah, well, CF Blogs actually got taken over by Alexander. Was it Gregory Alexander, the one that did the Galaxy blog?
The
And so
Galaxy blog.
yeah, so I think cfblogs.org is his aggregator, and so he's actually got a lot of stuff in there. So he's been adding that in, and I don't know. Yeah, it's like it's interesting because there's active blogs in there, but not all the blog posts show up on there. So I'm not sure how or why. Because like a lot of the Auto Solutions ones don't show up on the Cold Fusion posts, but we're in there as an active blog. So I don't know where, what how it works or what it does, but CF Blogs is one of the places I go to look at stuff. So yeah, if you submit your
Mm.
RSS feed there, it should pop up on our sort of setup. So one of the ways we keep it. Anyway, sorry, talking about too much of this. Let's talk about some actual real stuff. So we do have a blog post from Auto Solutions, and it's 5 signs it's time to modernize your Cold Fusion CFML application. And so this is probably more of a marketing piece for managers, so we won't go into it too much, but just some little things in there about why you might want to look at modernizing your Cold Fusion apps. I mean, there are some things in there which will help you as a developer, but um, so we'll let you see if you want to follow that up and read that one. And then we have
We
one of
have
his
another.
cold box tip.
Yeah, this one's about building named routes in your Coldbox apps. So since Coldbox 6 something, I'd have to go back and look. You could build links and define routes using names. A lot of the benefits here is then you can change one side or the other without having to change it everywhere in your code. For instance, you can define a route um, that takes in parameters. Maybe it's a user page, and later you want to change what the URL looks like. You can change it in your router. And if you've used named routes everywhere else, it will seamlessly transition into building the new route without you having to build in the new, construct the new URL yourself. So,
Yeah, and that was
yeah.
something that I had to figure out when I was doing the cold box course because it was new, and I was like, "What is this for?" And I'm like, and everybody's like, "It's pretty simple," and I'm like, okay, but if you got a complex scenario where you've got 4 or 5 parameters in your variable, in your URL or something, that gets a lot more crazy, and that's where a name route will get a lot easier than trying to get the right format and stuff. And so yeah,
Right.
name routes.
Yeah.
It doesn't work when you're just building a 3-page site. It's not quite as interesting, but yeah, as your app gets bigger and more complex, that does work a lot better. So, anyways, so next up we have one from Ben Adele, and this one is about rebuilding Incident Commander as a Cold Fusion app. And so this was pretty interesting. And he did a kind of like a little series of stuff because it's all related. But talking about moving it from his Firebase Angular app over to the Cold Fusion app using MySQL. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. And I'll try and share my screen for those who are watching. Yeah, we can sort of have a quick look into this one here. Click the right button. I like it when Ben has a little video too, so you guys can watch it here. But it was kind of cool. So basically, um, the interesting thing is that when you have an incident, you can put in different information about it here. But he was working on actually copy pasting stuff from Slack, right? And then
I think
pulling.
he's copy pasting the incident into Slack.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
Like he creates a preview of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I was saying, like, a lot of the times when you're doing this stuff, the images is kind of interesting. So I know that before, the screenshots and everything, I was like, this is a pretty cool little app that Ben's been playing with. So I know that, yeah, when they got an incident, they use this little app just to sort of track it, get all the information together. And like, it kind of seems like what we do with Sentry and some of those other tools, but you kind of have to piece it together. So, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. So
I think the most interesting thing to me was I think in his last paragraph he talked about like he'd originally built this on Firebase, right? Which is like a database as a service. It can offer like reactive WebSocket kind of like features. And at the end of the day, he said like I didn't know where to go with it. Like Firebase is something like you have to build everything around it. It's not like with MySQL or any database where it is a tool that you can use to make your app better. Firebase is like, this is your app. Do what we say is, here are the features you can use, and you don't really build outside of that. So I don't know. I guess I was feeling the same way as Ben with it, which is I have found myself retreating more and more from the JavaScript side of things. Not that anything's bad there, but it is a lot to keep up.
yeah, for sure. And I know that Superbase is sort of they started off as a Firebase open source version and everything else, and they've really moved towards like basically a full service Postgres implementation, and they've got a lot of interesting stuff going on there too. So if you're looking at a more open source version with hosting available, but you don't have to host with them, that might be something to look at too. But yeah, I agree. There's a lot of stuff in the JavaScript world. It's hard to keep up on everything
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. We have a few more James ones. I'll take us through a couple. One is the file get mime type function. So, especially if you're doing file uploads, you can't trust what the people put in, right? The file uploads, they can put whatever extension they want, get around your, client side validation on it. Uh, but the Cold Fusion engines, we have file get mime type that it's looking for certain byte patterns to try to tell you what it thinks it is. Is it 100% accurate? No, because you can throw garbage in there and it will tell you, I don't know, it's a text file. Or the wild card of MIME types is an octet stream.
Yeah.
But it will at least get you what the file actually looks like byte-wise instead of just relying on like, oh, they said it was a JPEG, right? So part of your tool belt for validating files, which I with this I looked up, some of my code for like uploading a photo and just how many steps you have to do for file uploads to make sure you're not opening yourself up to security issues is uh quite crazy. So
Yep.
next one, I want to take this one because I have experience here too, is building a moment inspired from now date formatting method. So you can see this in many applications. I think Slack is a great example, or any of the social media sites we've been talking about, where you post content and instead of saying like posted at, on Tuesday, November 19th at 11:31 a.m., it will say posted about a minute ago, or posted 30 minutes ago, posted about a day, and it gives you kind of that relative time. And so Ben goes about how he built his inspired from Moment JS. There is also in the comments of there's a moment, I think a Moment CFC that has existed for a decade or so. Let's see, 7 years. Yep, a Moment CFC library. I know I've used that for a few things. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that we have one here, Ortis, sorry, called Coda. I was getting ahead and combining those words, um, which does basically the same thing, but is set up for internationalization, which was fun. I had help from, I believe, Kai Koenig on that one. So it works in both English and German and ready for you to put in your language of choice.
That is pretty cool.
So yeah, it's fun if you ever wondered like how does it work. Basically, it's just time buckets, right? It's not AI. It's not doing any crazy things like that. It's just does it fall in this bucket? All right, use this use this string. So, but it's fun.
Yeah, so pretty cool little post there. James Moberg had one on talking about phone format and make tell link Cold Fusion UDFs. He's talking about standardization and validation, how that's important. And I'm going to share my screen for those watching as well. Get past the little pop-up from dev.2. He talks about all these different phone number formats and how you might have seen these in your database. Basically, all these different
Yeah,
formats and everything else. But for the browsers to be able to detect them properly, to use the tail links and everything else, there's obviously things that they should have and formats they should have. So yeah.
I feel
So
like phone numbers are along the lines of like dates, where kind of the adage I've heard is in your database, store UTC, right? Format it for the client, store UTC. I think it's the same in phone numbers. Pick the best like internal format that probably doesn't look nice and just format it when it comes out. And when it comes in, strip it down to what you need because
yep.
it's going to come in all who knows what way.
Yep, exactly. I usually try and keep them as just the number format there. Just remember, don't keep it as a number, because if you do, then it'll remove the leading zeros, and that does make a difference in some places. So, but
Right.
which I've had happen before with some other stuff, like actually converting stuff from the database to like JSON and back. Sometimes it'll try to auto convert and make a mess. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good
I
to
like
see these.
the make tell link too because I mean if you've ever come across a site on mobile, you try to tap a phone number and it just doesn't do anything. It's so frustrating to try to like use your phone to copy the number and switch to the phone app. So it's a great idea to make it an anchor tag with that tell attribute. And if it doesn't match a phone number, just skip that part. Just return it as is.
Yep, very cool. We also had another one from Orders saying, "Is cloud the answer for your Cold Fusion dilemma?" And so, basically talking about on-premise Cold Fusion. Are you meeting your limits? Looking at high costs, limited scalability, performance bottlenecks, etc. And so, some people wonder, is cloud the answer? And obviously, if you've read stuff from DHH when he says it's the wrong answer, there's a lot of options out there, and of course, it always comes down to it depends. So, this little blog post might give you some things to think about to see what's worthwhile there. And of course, you can contact us if you'd like some advice and help on and figuring that out as well. But Ben Liddell was also talking about inspecting the form upload file field metadata in Cold Fusion. And so you kind of touched a little bit on this already when you're doing the file uploading piece. But yeah, just
Yeah, so you can, in addition to there's a file upload function. That function technically doesn't upload anything. It moves it from where the temporary location it's placed into somewhere that you've said, right? Which is often another temporary location before you put it where you want. But in this blog post, Ben is showing that you can actually inspect the file in the temporary location that Cold Fusion or Lucy or Boxling puts it before you use file upload to move it anywhere. So yeah. I mean, in the end of the day, you're going to use file upload. You can do the same things after you move it too. So, but it's good to know that you can do it in either place.
very cool. Now, the next one was something from Grant Copley. So, mastering events in listeners and CB So, CB those of you who haven't seen, is a pretty cool technology which sort of takes the whole JavaScript is too much, I don't want to deal with that stuff, and sort of bridges the gap with Cold Fusion. Basically built on top of the beautiful things of Livewire and some of the other libraries out there that follow that suit. So CBWire, some pretty cool stuff, and Grant has done a great job with that project. And if you haven't seen that, you really need to look into it more. But this blog post talks about basically looking at mastering events and listeners and how to do it. So I'm going to share my screen because it's easier to walk through and you guys can see it. For those who are watching, obviously, if you're listening, then sorry. But one of the cool things I like about Grant's stuff too is he has a really cool examples part of his docs, so you can actually go and actually click and check that out. So, but yeah, he's looking at dispatching events at CB and listening. And so the cool thing is you can do it basically just like you would on the front end. You can dispatch it just like you would from a JavaScript like thing, but it's all done with CB and it fires it off to the back end. So you can even see the JavaScript version or the front end version. So he uses livewire.dispatch if you're actually in JavaScript, but if you're inside the Cold Fusion wire itself, you'd have a button and you'd do a wire : click. So very much like Vue and Alpine. And so it's pretty neat. Have you? I know you've done Inertia.js and everything else. Have you actually had much time to play with CB yet?
None. I'm sorry, Grant.
Again, lots of options out there, but yeah, this is one of those ones where if we had this before all the other stuff, like I wonder if it would have been easier or better than trying to set up your own APIs and doing all that and all the authentication that comes with the APIs and all those things we do with the JavaScript world, because this sort of allows you to stay inside your Cold Fusion app and not have to do so much of that heavy lifting yourself as far as the APIs and everything. But it's very cool. And of course, we got lots of videos on CFcast for that too. So go
I
check that
think
one out.
the best compliment or recommendation I can give for Livewire is coming back to any app that uses, moderate to heavy amounts of JavaScript, Vue, React, any of those, 6 months later, and trying to update everything is quite the task. I still have apps on Vue 2 because going to Vue 3, it's not just Vue 3, right? That upgrade's actually pretty easy, but like every component you've ever used is now broken or needs to upgrade as well. And so it's just you don't get that with Livewire. It's so small and it's mostly Cold Fusion. So that's my best recommendation for it. If you have JavaScript fatigue, you don't need all that power. Like Livewire is great.
Yeah, and it really is, if like you're not sure if you need to go full front end, you want to sprinkle some stuff in there without having to build the whole API. I mean, it just works. It really is slick. And Caleb Porcio and basically built this with Laravel stuff, and they've done a lot of great work, and it's really huge there. So it's built on top of giants, as they say. So Ground's done a lot of good work, but it's built on top of a lot of amazing work they've done over there, and it's really successful elsewhere. So I think if it'd come out a little sooner, I think a lot more people would be doing it instead of building APIs and going full JavaScript. Because like you said, the dependency nightmare, it's ridiculous. And yeah, it gives me trauma just thinking about it. So
Yeah. I mean,
stop
you
there.
you know me as the Inertia.js guy. I still love it, but like even those apps, like I wrote them in Vue 2, and upgrading to Vue 3 is complicated. So even when you don't have to build an API, there's still benefits to doing as little JavaScript as you need, I guess is how to put it.
Yeah.
Do
Plus,
as much as you need and no more.
and you have to worry about all the build steps and all those things either. Like that's another whole thing. Build pipelines and anyway, different.
So, yep.
Okay. Another
All
one
right.
from Ben.
Yeah, this this just reminds you that strings are much more complicated than you think they are. So in MySQL, varchar with a length does not refer to the number of bytes, it refers to the number of characters. And you might be thinking, no, wait a minute, I knew this. Like it's bytes because there's 1 byte per character. That used to be the case, and then emoji existed, and well, before emoji
Before that,
even,
even, yeah.
like characters with accents were multi-byte, and so strings are weird. The varchar length refers to characters, not bytes. Um, so just something to note when you're putting it in there. You can store 10 emoji in a varchar 10 field as well as 10, letter A's.
But the interesting thing is the browser doesn't think so. So if you're doing Cold Fusion lengths, if you I'm scrolling down for those watching, but if you have validation on your form input and you put 5 emojis in, it'll cut it off because you can't fit anything more than that because it looks at bytes. So it doesn't look at characters when you're using form input. The browsers and everything don't look at that. They look at
And this is specifically the HTML5 validation, correct?
Um,
Like
well,
when you're putting like a max length on the input.
yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming that if you're using a validation library, it might do something similar. So it depends on the
Yeah.
library. And then my question is, does Microsoft SQL Server do bytes or characters? Or does
That's why you just
Postgres
do
do bytes or characters? Because
varchar max. Varchar max.
yeah. So that's a good question. I'm wondering. I've got a database. I should try that. So I'll have to play with it. But yeah, that was my first thought. Is like, wait a minute. So MySQL does that, but which other ones do that, and which ones don't? And are you gonna have to worry about that with Quick now? Does Quick have links on their character, database validation type stuff? Does Cold Fusion's validation, CB validation stuff that we're using handle that or not? Or oh gosh, yeah. So strings are not as easy as you thought. It's the perfect way to put it, Eric.
Strings are very confusing.
Yeah. Okay. What do we got next?
I'm gonna combine a couple of these Ben ones. They're both about JSoup. JSoup is awesome, and he has two examples here. One is sanitizing untrusted HTML. So that is, you give it HTML and you can define like this is what is okay to have in here. These tags, these attributes, nothing else, and it will strip out the rest. And then the second blog post is like, okay, you looked at how to sanitize it. What if you just want a report of what was in there that was bad? And he shows a way to do that as well. If you need to do any HTML processing, you should be using JSoup.
Yeah, I forgot how good the syntax was for it. Yeah, if you want to allow tags like strong or em, you just have the safe list in it, add tags, an array, and then scrolling down a little bit more, you'll see that you can add tags, add classes to tags. Under pre, you may want to let the class tag be allowed, but not other things. So when you whitelist the tag, you can also whitelist attributes or not. And the comments in this is obviously more detailed. And James Moberg does a lot of work. And actually, that's James Moberg recommended it to Ben, I don't know, 500 times maybe. And so Ben's finally playing with it. But yeah, the cool thing is that it's pretty easy to sort of set up and use. And yeah, Anti-Sammy just stripped stuff out, but he was saying that one benefit he really liked about JSoup was it gave him a report of what was the issue. Not just remove it, but say what was the issue so he could report back to the, to the user, better UI experience, and let them know, hey, this is why we can't let this comment go. Do you want to fix it? So I thought that was pretty neat. So yeah, definitely some cool blog posts there. I forgot how cool JSoup was. I think JSoup I used a few times, but I remember back with one of your modules, um, I'm trying to remember it. What was the test module you built?
Integrated.
Integrated, yep, and it used
Yeah.
JSoup for a lot of that stuff. So it was like a sort of start of the builder pattern type thing, similar to Playwright, but using JSoup under the covers to do some of that, which was still pretty
You know,
cool.
I tried, I brought up integrated to see if it still worked. I mean, it's probably like a year ago now, if I'm being honest, but it still worked then. So, faster than doing Playwright if you don't need JavaScript. Integrated will take the HTML, see if there's links, and just do another, integration test request. So it's a bit quicker.
Yep.
So, anyways,
Yep, the module man. Plenty of modules there.
I know I got to get back on it though. People are catching up to me.
That's what happens. You get too good at building modules, people start making you work on all their projects. So,
Now I just
yeah,
have lots of modules I have to keep up to date. That's the thing. And I'm happy to. They're great, but it's hard to build new things when there's a lot of updates to do.
yep, for sure. See, that's what happens when you build good modules. I build lots of modules, but nobody uses them, so I have that problem. So we also have one from Otis, 10 key benefits of hiring specialized Cold Fusion consulting team. And so some reasons that our clients have given us as feedback, basically some reasons, and some benefits. So if you guys want to read that, or if you want to show that to your boss, if you're looking to hire a consultant to help, that might be some
I'm,
useful information.
let's be honest. If you're looking to hire a consultant and you need to convince your boss, you say Order Solutions because they built it, right? We're using CodeBox, we're using this, and they built it. So let's hire them.
Definitely one way
That's all
to,
you have to say.
yep. And we've pretty much built things for everybody else too. So yeah, we've built a lot of things. So fair enough. Okay. One other one from James Moberg here. Um, get last work week in month in Cold Fusion. He says return to last full week. Is that what you would have expected it to do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think so. Yeah, you want the last 5 days in the month.
Oh, okay. Well, I would have thought the last work week would have been like the last day that in a work week that was in a month, maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway, so he was, integrating a new feature per client to flag customers that are requesting vouchers to be reissued or whatever during the current or the next month. And so he was trying to figure out if they were in, the last work week, and was figure out when it was. So if it was in the last day, basically, was it in one of the working days of last month, or should it be allocated to next month because maybe it was on the weekend following it or something? But it gave him unexpected results, and he, as James said in the chat, naming things is hard. I agree. So
I
he's
am
got a
curious, James. You have a picture here, and I can see at least two examples in May and August where it looks like there's another work week, but I wasn't sure if you're counting like holidays or things like that. So,
I'm have to look in here, and James has got a lot of cool little procedures and little functions, and let me share my screen. So yeah, so this is what he was getting returned. The that May one was interesting.
yeah, May and August. So,
So include weekend equals true means that May, because Saturday wasn't there, it didn't include it because it wasn't
yeah.
a full week including the Saturday, which of course,
Speaking of things that are more confusing than you think at first glance, dates.
yeah. And
So,
I'm still getting used to the fact that Sunday is the start of the week on your guys' calendar. We always had a Monday through Friday, then Saturday, Sunday was on the end. So that always throws me. I always have to look at
yeah.
the letters.
Yeah.
But I know different parts of the world, different ways.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah. So, but yeah, so it's a good little piece there. So that's not part of it. That's promoted. So I'll skip that.
Okay.
Okay. We had a,
Then
oh, sorry. Go
to
ahead.
round out, we have a couple blog posts on the Ortus blog. One about kind of like a white paper about how usability and visual appeal drive user engagement, and our Command Box 6.1 release blog post. So again, go ahead and upgrade in your command box by literally typing the word upgrade and get all those new goodies.
Yep. And then we have one more box slang post as well. So box slang beta 2022, as we mentioned. And if you want to find out more about box slang, you can do so on here. But as we mentioned, there's quite a few new features. So there's 4 new features in here, about 10 improvements, and I think 12 bug fixes. So a lot of work being put into this, a lot of things happening, and the Ortus books box slang website has all the release history. You can follow everything there. A lot of good information, and of course, if you're just hearing about box slang now, Into the Box at the keynote, we had a pretty full keynote on it, so go check that out. That's on YouTube for free, and find out more about it. But lots of great content coming out about it, so stay tuned for more. And as we said, we're working towards that release candidate version 1.0.
Woo!
Yep. So we're working on hard on that. Hopefully, end of the year we can have that ready. So we're excited. Okay. If you're looking for a job, there are a couple of ways you can look for jobs. So getcfmljobs.com it's a cool news aggregator. So it'll actually pull in some of the job postings from places around the web, and you can also post your listings there for free. And there was one post in the last couple of weeks. So there's a senior software engineer in Brisbane, Australia. So if you want to go to the Gold Coast and check that out, there's a full-time position there, and that was just posted November 8th. So we'll share the link. But there was also one I saw up on Facebook as well. So we shared that one as well. And if you're looking for more, there are some on the Box Team Slack and the CFML channel Slack. They have a jobs section too. So if you're looking, there might be some more information in there. If you want us to cover it, let us know. We can put it there if you guys are looking for someone as well. Okay. Ooh, we got a couple of things looking from Forge Box Module of the
So,
Week. Got a
so
bonus.
I'm I failed to put this up in the new releases, so I'm hijacking this real quick to mention that QB 11 is out. The breaking change, as usual, probably won't affect any of you, but I try to be very explicit because there's nothing worse than upgrading to a minor version and having something break. The big thing here is Boolean casting. So all of you Postgres fans out there rejoice.
Yay.
And SQLite actually, which is if you pass a Boolean in, a true fault, Java lang Boolean, it's going to keep it, it's going to set it, it's going to use the right SQL type. If you use a grammar that does not support that, like MySQL or SQL Server, it will convert it to the bit or the tiny int that it needs to be and use that. So that's what's coming in. And new grammars can opt into this behavior with a couple of functions. And so yeah, it's a breaking change because those used to just if you set in true to this function, it would be a string. It'd
Yeah.
say, hey, is this the varchar true? Which if you've used Postgres does not do how do you put it? Loose typing. Yes, it needs to be strict. So hopefully for all of those of you using Postgres, this is a very nice upgrade.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Postgres really does stick to the specifications. It is very strict on a lot of things. No loosey goosey there, but
Right.
a lot of power and performance come with that. So very cool. Okay, so bonus release there from Eric, but we are also going to talk about a new module. This is the ColdBox Open Telemetry module. So this here, for anyone who wants to sort of figure out what's going on, it's a way to help you trace data and basically waterfall visualizations of request workflows. So Eric will explain it much better than me, but I've heard about this a lot when people are dealing with, Docker and all the stuff in the cloud where basically one request comes in and there's a problem, but they've got to go look in 5 or 6 different places to look for the Docker logs, look through the load balancer logs, look through all the different logs to find this request, and it's really hard to do. So OpenTelemetry was basically a way to have that key pass through all those different places in the request, so that way you can sort of match them up. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So now,
So
go ahead. Sorry.
So this has a few things built into it for us, which is adding trace parent and trace state headers if there isn't one supplied. So basically, if this is the first request coming in, it will add this trace, so every other request is going to see it. And it has a few integrations to some of our other tools like Hyper. If you're using that for your HTTP requests, then these trace headers will automatically get appended and sent through. So then on the next hop, you can know that this is the same request. Logstash, so if you're sending information to Logstash, and also a SQL commenter
Mm.
header. So SQL commenter is a feature in QB and a standard that Google came up with and has probably abandoned, but it still works, which adds in a nice comment that can be parsed out with rich information to your SQL queries. So not only do you know this request came in and it made these HTTP requests, but also these database requests, and you can tie them all together. And being an open standard, there's other tools that can read this and you can switch between them. So some neat stuff. And if you want to know more about that, you should message John and say, "Hey, John, you should talk about this at Into the Box."
Yeah, I
And that
think
that would be John Clausen. Yeah.
yeah, I think that'd be a pretty good session too. Yeah, I mean, tying all this stuff together, I think is getting to be more and more difficult the more services we have, and imagine this for WebSockets and everything else too. Like, yeah, it gets kind of crazy. But yeah, so it's really cool. I mean, a lot of places are using OpenTelemetry now, and a lot of support for it. Like you said, a lot of tools and tool chains built around it. So great to see it being first class in ColdBox as well.
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe, like Cloudflare, one of our favorite things, and other CDN sites like that, I believe already are adding these trace parent or trace state information. So like if you're using one of these, like it's already coming in, and then this module is just going to propagate that through. So you're just going to get a nice, good picture of start to finish through all the different services that you're using. So
Yeah, and that's sort of the idea there. So trace it to see where it's hitting. You know, maybe you got one Docker instance that's misbehaving. This can try and trace your stuff through and see if what they're hitting. Yeah, it's definitely useful, and I've seen some APN tools out there that use it, and it's really nice to see that sort of whole picture, you know, across all those different services. So, yeah, it's super cool. When I figured out what the CB hotel was, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, thought that deserved a mention on ForgeBox Module of the Week this week. So, very cool. Good work. Now, a VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week this week is one that you said you use quite a lot, and I'm sure there's a few other people using this service, which this would be useful for.
yeah, this week it's Stripe for VS Code. So Stripe being the payment processor that we prefer to use, they have great documentation, great features. I've used their CLI for a long time, and the CLI does everything I'm about to tell you. But the extension gives it all to you with nice panels. You can stream logs, create webhook endpoints. The one I use the most is for events, where you can trigger a default event or a custom event. So that's really great when you're because modern Stripe is you can't you used to be able to make a payment and you got something back and you're good, right? You use that data. But now you make a payment, Stripe does its thing and it sends you a webhook when everything's like settled, right? When it's actually paid. There's a lot of reasons why that's better, at least for your business, but it does mean that you need to implement that correctly on your website. And using tools like these, it's very easy to say, okay, send me an invoice paid event so I can respond to that and make sure everything's working. So they even have just a one-click button to forward events to your local machine from your Stripe dev. And in the current AI craze, they have a way to ask questions of AI, which probably is somewhat useful. Probably less useful in the Cold Fusion code section. But if you're wondering, how do I resume a subscription in Stripe? It could give you the right endpoints to hit, things like that.
Yep, for those that are watching, you better see there's some examples of triggering new events. So, yeah, choose what type you want and just straight from there. Pretty cool. I like that. I'm definitely gonna have to check that one out. So, thanks for the recommendation. And then if anyone else has some VS Code things that we haven't talked about in a while, let us know. We know that most of the good ones just keep getting updated and everyone's using them, but there are some new ones that we haven't touched on, or maybe we haven't touched on it for a couple of years. So we can definitely touch base on those there as well. Okay. Last but not least, we have our joyful Patreon supporters, and these are the individuals.
Excuse me, they are
Jolly.
jolly.
Sorry, Jolly. Man, I need more Coke. Thanks, Eric. Just put in the notes so I can see it better. But yeah, these individuals or their businesses are supporting our open source initiatives to ensure the great tools that we build, like Mindbox, ForgeBox, CodeBox, ContentBox, TSBox, and all those other boxes out there, keep getting the continuous development they need. Because as you said, the more modules you make, the more you have to maintain them, and that's definitely true. There's a lot for that. But yeah, the contribution really goes towards helping our cloud infrastructure and that the community relies upon. Because can you imagine going back to life without ForgeBox and package management?
Oh gosh, no, thank you.
Or no command box, like yep. So yeah, that's a big part of the cost, the cloud infrastructure and all the package hosting and everything else. So we definitely want to thank each and every one of them. If you want to find out more about becoming a patron, you go to patreon.com/ordersolutions. But there are some perks for being.
That's absolutely right. Bronze packaging and up, you also get a ForgeBox Pro and a CFCast subscription as a perk. And all our Patreon supporters get a neat profile badge on the community website, their own private forum on the community website, and access to a private channel on the Box Team Slack.
Yep. So definitely some perks there. And again, remember, CFcast, we're going to be releasing all those ITP videos out of the premium into the regular paid subscriptions very soon.
That's
So,
right. Happy holidays.
yep, exactly. So you guys will be all excited. Hopefully you'll see how much fun we had and how much great content there was, and you want to buy tickets for next year. But let's get to our jolly patrons. You want to read through the names of some of our top patrons?
Absolutely. Thank you to John Wilson with some nap tricks, Tomorrow's Guides, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, James Moberg and Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, Dean Maunder, Kevin Wright, Doug Kane, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Rahim. And thank you to our many more Patreons, up to 59 right now. You can always see an up-to-date list on ordersolutions.com/about-us/sponsors.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And we'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks. So happy Thanksgiving for everyone who's celebrating. And we'll catch you very soon. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.